guys, welcome. My name is Brittany. If this is your first time joining me at my channel, then hello. I'm so excited that you are here. Today I wanted to share 7 of my most helpful practices that keep me really inspired and able to flow, not getting so stuck up in my head or fearful of taking the next step in my life. So I hope that some of these help you along your journey to discovering your most radically positive, abundant, and optimistic life ever. These are some things that I do to stay focused and inspired. So one of the things that I have seen so much growth and transformation from is moon ceremonies. And I'm like, how do I even approach this? Because I feel like to a lot of people that could sound just completely crazy, like this new age spiritual hippy dippy, completely out of touch with reality. It could sound just really strange, but stick with me here. So for eons and eons and eons, from the earliest times that we have recorded in history, we know that our ancient civilizations used to fish and hunt and move and migrate by the moon and its cycles and the orbits around the earth and the seasons that would come and go. And we know that they didn't really know that space was out there. They didn't really know what happened when the sun came and went and the moon would rise and fall. So they had their own stories about cycles. And especially with, I was watching a documentary last night about how different indigenous Polynesian tribes know the oceans so well, and they didn't even have proper ways to map the oceans, but they lived and breathed and integrated themselves with the ocean so much that they would create these little maps out of sticks, and they would be able to just navigate themselves all over the place. And it was really a cool thing to see, and I feel like discovering more and more history like this really makes it more apparent to me that I'm not crazy and that these things that I have faith and belief in do exist, and that although it's not popular and it's not something that a lot of people have caught on to yet, although we're seeing it more and more every day, that it's okay, and that talking about it and sharing our personal stories with how these practices give us change, beautiful, big, positive change in our lives, even if it just reaches one person who's been thinking about something similar, or even better yet, someone who was, formerly a non-believer and wants to be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna try this because it just sounds crazy. So moon ceremonies. For new moon ceremonies, so there's new moon, and then 2 weeks later full moon, and then 2 weeks later new moon. So we're in constant cycles, and I definitely, I'm very into astrology too. So each month our planets are in different places, and we're having different gravitational pulls on the planet. So the tides are changing, things are moving, gravity is affecting all of us in different ways. Also, think of some emotional or like seasonal depression disorders. There are different emotional disorders that affect people during different seasons. It's not too far-fetched, I believe, to believe that our world and nature is in constant flow with the moon. So having these new moon ceremonies, new moon is a heavier time where we can manifest our dreams, where we can say, for instance, if someone is trying to lose weight or something, they can start having a mantra that's, I crave fruits, I crave health, I crave nourishment in my body, just calling things into you. So with new moons, you kind of say what it is that you envision in your life, what it is that you see your most radical and beautiful life looking like. And that's your ceremony. and you can write about it, you can reflect on questions, you can do some self-reflection, internal work, you can do meditations, guided meditations, you could maybe go to a sound bath where you allow crystal bowls and their vibrations, beautiful, beautiful sounds. If you never have, maybe look up on YouTube, quartz crystal sound bath. So that would be a new moon ceremony. And then for the full moon, we have a very light feeling and the gravitational pull is not so heavy. So we're able to release things that are keeping us from attaining our goals. And we're able to get rid of that excess baggage, that stuff that we're holding on to. Maybe it's belief systems or judgments against other people, or feeling victimized by a trauma or a situation that you're currently going through, or something in the past. There are different exercises that you can do to release these things, and during your full moon, you're able to check in with your new moon manifestation. So 2 weeks later being like, okay, how is that looking? What's going on here? What's keeping me from moving forward? And the full moon is like the check-in point. It's like the harvest. You're like harvesting all the fruits and the seeds from which you planted during the new moon ceremony. Does that make sense? So those are the moon ceremonies for me. Number 2, and I can do an entire other video. I'll do many, many videos of this in the future. Astrology. It's kind of like finding out your energetic DNA. So exactly the blueprint of who you are on the inside. Ever since I discovered astrology and what my personal birth chart looks like, I don't know, it just ignited the spark. I was like, okay, cool, yes, this makes sense. And everybody that I've looked up, whether it's my parents, my companion's family, all of it rings true. And I feel like the only times that your birth chart would not ring true is maybe if you are so strayed away from and not in touch with exactly who it is that you are. Kind of seems scary, but some people do get there. A lot of people get there. We are in an area of history where many people are addicted, and whenever you have behavioral or addictive tendencies, let a lot of shadows lead life, and it's not very conducive to getting in touch with who you are and discovering your soul's purpose. So another thing that I live and swear by are my crystals. And a lot of people say these like a placebo effect, which I'm totally fine with. If something is encouraging you to make real change and difference in your life, then that's real, baby. Anything that creates real change is real. It's like Dumbledore says at the end of the 7th Harry Potter book, something about Harry asks, is this real? And he says, well, it's a dream or a figment of your imagination, but who's to say that that's not real? Depending on their energetic properties, they all kind of have like some personality. They all have their little expertise areas. So this bracelet, for instance, is blue lace agate stones. And, So blue lace agate stones are for the 5th chakra, which is the chakra of communication and freely expressing yourself and being able to tell stories and a lot of communication. See, my camera keeps going. There we go. And then on the back here is angelite. So this is something that I had made for me by a wonderful woman. I'll give her description box in the link below. She is the ultimate person that I turn to as far as crystal jewelry and mineral stones. So for the blue lace agate, being able to release the throat chakra and release any kind of blockages that are here, and I'll do an entire other video on the chakra system for sure. For those of you that are interested, if you are, please leave me a comment down below so that I know that you're curious. And then my black tourmaline, this is one of the heaviest and most grounding stones. So this is one that magically found me at Symbiosis Gathering in Oakdale that I went to last year, that I just had radical transformation. And this stone found me. So this is the stone for the root chakra. And once again, I'll do a whole nother video on chakras and the chakra system and what they are and how to work with them and how to figure them out in your own body. So using these, there are practices that you can do with crystals as well that just kind of open you up and keep you in a very flow state so that you're not getting bogged down by like fears and worries and anxieties and judgments against other people and keeping yourself closed off and sitting in your traumas and being victimized and just things that keep you from living like right here, right now. And that is really kind of the things that hold us back in life, right? There are things that stop us from living exactly the way that we want to live. And using my crystals, especially during the moon ceremonies, are very, very helpful as well. I also do a lot of guided meditations, whether it's online at yogaglow.com. Ever since integrating and finding out more about crystals and their energetic properties and how I can use them in my life to just wake up my spirit, my whole life has like changed. Number 4 is getting out into my community. Man, this one has made such a huge difference. So I set this intention at the beginning of 2017, wanting to get more out into my community so that I didn't feel so alone and I had like-minded people that I could talk to about stuff like this. And I'd gone to 6 community events, one of which last night, it was a Diksha blessing, and my girlfriend Amy Raven, who was doing the sound bath, said, "It is my birthright to express myself freely." And oh my gosh, when she said that, it just like hit me in the chest so much, because even with this YouTube channel, starting it, something that I struggle with is being able to communicate what I want to communicate in the way that I want to communicate it. And I know that this is something that's new to me, so I need to not set those expectations for myself, but there you go. So as a little affirmation that came from a community event that I told myself I wanted to start getting out and doing more, it's these little affirmations for me from the universe that's like, you're doing the right thing, continue doing this and you'll be supported. So getting out into your community is number 4 for sure. Number 5 has completely changed and pivoted my life in a completely different direction, and I have no idea where I would have been if I had not done it. This was integrating myself more into yoga. I had been doing yoga for about 1.5 years before I said yes and set off in a very weird series of events to go to a 200-hour yoga certification. I knew that I would never, ever, ever want to teach other people, and I really just went too deep in my practice. But then, as what happens with so many people who go to these life-changing experiences, something happened to me while I was over there, and here I am 1.5 years later with a prenatal yoga certification, my 200-hour. I have over 100 extra hours logged with my teacher in San Francisco. I also have a really strong yoga asana practice. Yoga is a really, really great way to get out of your head and just be right there, moving your body and feeling yourself and getting in touch with how you feel. And it's a really, really great initiation to this type of work. A lot of people just think it could be a way to get a hot body, and you know, some people are able to accomplish that through yoga as well, and it's fantastic. Really just aligning yourself mind, body, and soul and being comfortable in your own skin. So number 5 is yoga. Number 6 would be affirmations. So in January I started doing this affirmation board, and I just did this one this morning. It's my February mantra. It says, "True colors, it is my birthright to express myself freely." And especially because this affirmation has a lot to do with what's going on in my life right now. You can source inspiration and quotes online depending on whatever it is that you're trying to let go of or be free of, or whatever you're working on or working in your life right now. There's always an affirmation that you can find online that you can repeat to yourself almost like a little monthly mantra and say, it's okay that I'm going through this right now. It's not the end of the world. I can get in touch with my breath and calm down, and everything is going to be okay. As long as I have food to nourish me, and a roof over my head, it's not as bad as it seems. A lot of times we can make life very crucial and like we don't have enough time and just very fear-based and scarcity based. Like there's not enough to go around, but there is. So number 6 is affirmations. And then 7 would be a gratitude practice. This might sound like something that's really silly, but when I wake up in the morning, after I keep my eyes closed and try to think of the dreams that I just had, I move. Whether it's just taking a great big stretch and reaching up to the sky and just seeing how it is that my body is feeling today, or simultaneously thinking of all the things that I'm grateful for in life and how beautiful my life is. Even though not everything is perfect by any means, no one's ever going to have a perfect life because perfection is not realistic, but just thinking about anything. Thinking about gifts that you've received from people that love you, really beautiful gifts, not just someone spending money on you, or the fact that you have food in your refrigerator and so much of the world is in poverty right now, or the fact that you have a beautiful place that you love to spend time in, like your house, or maybe a yoga studio, or with a friend, or your friendships, your relationships. Having gratitude for your parents who birthed you, even if you're going through hardship in that relationship, maybe even spending time recalling a memory from your childhood and calling up that person and saying, oh, do you remember this? A gratitude practice feeds our brain in the same way that positive, what are the positive hormones? Endorphins? Gratitude enlivens something within our brains that make us feel light and airy and free. And a lot of times we can get really down and heavy and feel very weighted to the world and not very positive. And just by adapting a gratitude practice, even if you don't try anything on the list that I'm listing today, try having a gratitude practice. Try waking up in the morning, and even if you don't have a journal or something, writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. Stop. My dog wants to go outside. I promise you, it'll start to change things. A self-reflective practice is not something that we integrate in our normal day-to-day life, and it can seem like something that's a big waste of time and like couldn't ever do anything good for you. But it's through being so outside of ourselves, so outside of our body and concerned with what's going on in the world, and all of these things are important too, interacting with the world and life that's around you. But if you're not getting centered and finding out who you are every day and checking in and figuring out what it is that you're thankful for in your life, you don't even have a platform or a basis to come off of and approach the world. So for me, whenever I'm feeling crazy with the world around me and I'm feeling not grounded and not balanced, the only place that I can go is within. Thank you. Have a good day. Namaste. See you again.